Will AI replace the coding for software engineers and data scientists?
I would say,
especially if you're a PM, now you actually don't need a software engineer to like build the first prototype.
yeah,
You can actually
test it out real quick.
Yeah, you can test it out really quick and you can like build a prototype. Let's say if you're a software engineer at Amazon, what exactly are you doing with the system design knowledge?
For me, the testing part has also evolved because I'm able to quickly generate like a lot of unit tests, and even like if I want to do a sample load testing, there's a lot of data that I can just whip up real quick to test it out.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we have Anjali, who is a software engineer. So in today's video, we're going to talk about a really important topic, which is,
will AI replace software engineers or data scientists?
Exactly. So we're going to divide this video into three parts. First, we're going to talk about the hard skills, which is like coding and design. Then we're going to jump into soft skills. So that way we're able to like tackle each segment of what you do as a data scientist and a software engineer and where AI can play a role. With that, let's actually get into the coding part. So Anjali, what does a software engineer need to know from coding perspective, and where is AI going to play a role here?
Yeah, so if we just look at a software engineer's day to day, it might seem like coding is everything, but there's a lot that goes into it in addition to just typing code out. But purely focusing on programming languages right now, there's a lot of them out there. The main ones would be Java, C++, Python. There's also HTML, CSS, JavaScript for the front end. And all of it right now can be done by AI. Coding is the most, I guess, the easiest thing to automate.
Yeah, no, that's very valid, because for data scientists, the story is somewhat similar. As a data scientist, you are supposed to know SQL and Python. You also work with a lot of tools. For example, oftentimes you'll be using Excel or like Google notebooks, like coding notebooks in general. So yes, like as Anjali said, like a lot of the AI tools are targeting coding related work. So yes, ChatGPT today can write really good SQL. ChatGPT can also write really good Python. But where I think ChatGPT fails, or like any of the LLMs fail, is when it's time to write complex coding logic. Like it's really good as like a starter coding snippet.
Yeah.
But as soon as you ask it to like do something more complex or like take in the context of the business of the product, that's where it fails.
Yes, that is correct. AI can still struggle with truly complex coding tasks. But for everyday complex workflows, agentic AI is already there. One platform that has helped me build complex AI agents and AI automation without coding is Zapier, who is also sponsoring this portion of the video. Every week, I'm navigating countless meetings with startup founders and engineers and more. And of course, it takes time to prep for every meeting ahead of time. So I built an AI agent using Zapier Copilot to look up upcoming meetings and create a prep doc in Google Docs for researching the company online and the data I already have for the company. It took me 15 minutes to build this AI agent in Zapier Copilot. I connected my Google Calendar, my Google Drive, meeting summary generator tool in Zapier, and online web search tool in Zapier. You can also connect your CRM or upload custom knowledge base if you have it. Once it's connected, I schedule it to run every Sunday at 5 p.m. and it checks my Google Calendar for meetings in the next 1 week, identifies the company person for each meeting, searches the web for relevant background info such as company details, recent news, key insights, and creates a Google Doc titled Meeting Prep with date that includes a list of upcoming meetings and key research and important context for each meeting. And it saves the doc. This process alone saved me 3+ hours every week, and this is just one of many complex AI agents I have built with Zapier. You can build very customized AI agents for your specific use case using Copilot or one of many pre-built templates in Zapier. I'm linking it in the description below. Now, let's go back to more AI use cases for coding.
I would love to hear your opinion.
For sure. And I feel like there's also a lot of bugs that are introduced, and you may argue that AI will get better and there'll be lesser bugs. But a lot of times the bugs are because of you not prompting correctly or you failing to mention all of the little details. So I feel like you need to be a good programmer, a good coder to understand the code that is generated by AI. You need to be able to prompt it really well. And you can only do that if you actually have the base knowledge. So maybe we will be writing lesser code than usual, but we'll be prompting instead, and we'll be understanding what's written and then testing it out thoroughly to make sure that the output generated is what we were looking for in the first place.
Exactly. And in order to validate what AI is spitting out, you actually need to know if the code that it is spitting out is correct or not.
Exactly.
And the only way to do that is if you are really good at it yourself. I do want to talk about like briefly because in the market, there have been a lot of tools that are focused on vibe coding, such as Lovable, Cursor, Replit. I did a video recently on Lovable where I built a project, like a project portfolio website, literally in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think people see that and then they think like your jobs are going to be replaced. But what they don't see, like after that template is built for you, you actually have to like figure out how to operationalize it, how to productionalize it, how to maintain it. And that's where like a lot of these tools are great for like prototyping.
Yeah.
But scaling it to like a larger user base, like that's when it starts to fail. And that's where a human who actually knows what they're doing has to jump in and kind of like solve it. And
for sure. I feel like AI is just making it easier to learn and kind of easier to implement stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're talking about real complex work, you will need someone who knows the ins and outs of coding and just all of the design principles and everything else.
Yeah. I think where this could be really, really value add is if, let's say, you come up with an idea, like even in your like larger organization, you come up with an idea, especially if you're a PM. Now you actually don't need a software engineer to like build the first prototype.
Yeah.
You can actually
test it out real quick.
Yeah, you can test it out really quick and you can like build a prototype and then instead of presenting your 20-page document, you can present that.
The little prototype that's already ready for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And like prove your point that this product would work. And
and you can also kind of test it out with a small, like let's say you want to launch a startup. You again don't need to hire freelancers or devs to get the first prototype out. You can kind of have like a boilerplate code ready for you, test it out with like 20 friends and then see if they actually like what you're doing before you actually go ahead and hire the right people in order to scale it well and like make it more user friendly.
Yeah. I do want to say that like my day-to-day has evolved a bit especially when it comes to coding. Yes, I do use like Gemini quite a bit for coding. I work a lot in Google Colab notebooks and Gemini is already integrated into it. So oftentimes instead of staring at a blank screen, I actually get AI to like write something for me and get started. Yeah. And then I take over. I don't know if that's been the case for you, like how you've been using it as a software engineer.
For sure. I feel like I've become faster at executing stuff. For me, I use Visual Studio, Microsoft Copilot in it. I also use ChatGPT quite a bit. And for me, the testing part has also evolved because I'm able to quickly generate like a lot of unit tests. And even like if I want to do a sample load testing, there's a lot of data that I can just whip up real quick to test it out. So because testing is quicker, I don't need to wait until it's in prod, or I don't need to like take a whole week to test it end to end. It's like just a few hours. So I do feel like I'm becoming better at what I do because I can just do it faster and validate my ideas faster.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So one sentence answer, will AI replace the coding for software engineers and data scientists? What would you say?
I would say yes, they would replace the hardcore, like the coding part, but it would rely on you prompting it correctly and having the base knowledge. Yeah. So yes and no.
To validate it. Yes and
yeah.
So awesome. All right. Now let's move on to the second part of the skill set, which is design. And here we're going to talk about like analytical and critical thinking for data scientists and system design and a bunch of other things for software engineer. So actually, let's start with the design. Let's start with software.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like system design is a place where software engineers will thrive, especially when it comes to AI, because at the end of the day, companies are not paying you just to generate the code. They're paying you to determine how should the system be designed, and just making all of these decisions, whether it's like the high level design, low level design. And that is where kind of AI struggles, because when you prompt it saying, hey, this is the kind of, a tool that I want you to make for me, it'll spit out the boilerplate code, but it that would probably break if there's a million users that just crashed it overnight. So there are all of these little decisions that you need to make, and that only comes with experience and design knowledge, which is why I feel like with the rise of AI, senior software engineers who usually make a lot of these design decisions, they're going to be super high in demand because that is what we need. We need people to think and then prompt accordingly instead of just, writing code that junior devs usually used to do.
Can I ask, like, what is system design? Like, let's say if we take a physical product, or like, let's say if you're a software engineer at Amazon, what exactly are you doing with the system design knowledge?
It's just like, for example, even something as simple as understanding the legacy systems and how would this new product fit into it. Load testing, like I mentioned earlier, or even there's like, let's say you want to scale it. Would you scale it vertically or horizontally? Something as simple as that, right? You kind of need to tell AI what to do under all of these real life constraints. And that is what, like, before you kind of dive in and just start typing your code, you want to plan it out end to end. And that is what system design is.
Like the whole architect.
Yeah, the whole architecture.
Yeah.
And what you would be using underneath.
Exactly. And I think like it becomes more and more complex as you like work at a bigger company.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's a lot of legacy code to deal with, a lot of different things that you want to not break. Because it's very easy to kind of build something from scratch, but then making sure it works with everything else, like that is also, I wouldn't say that's system design, but that is also a huge task that AI may or may not do correctly.
Yeah. But do you think eventually AI will get so smart to a point where it's able to like cover the system design and able to like understand the legacy code and legacy architecture and be able to like put it all together?
So AI is smart enough to understand those things, but we need someone with enough knowledge to be telling AI to do that. Like AI isn't just going to assume that how many customers you have, what time they're most active, how to scale up and down. Like it needs all of those data points. It needs someone to feed them, and it needs someone with enough knowledge about the whole system end to end to be able to even prompt it correctly.
Yeah.
So I guess it comes down to prompting at the end of the day.
Prompting and what you know, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
So if they say like AI is as good as you are, and we have heard that phrase like a gazillion times, but like I think like putting it into like actual example, like real world example, just like makes it real.
Yeah.
I would say like for data scientists, specifically the critical thinking, the analytical thinking, that domain knowledge, the context that you need to have whenever like you're doing a simple analysis or doing like feature engineering for your machine learning model. So one example I would give here is that automated ML has been here for years. And basically automated ML is instead of like you writing your regression from like scratch or writing your clustering analysis, like all the code from scratch, it's basically a UI. You go and upload your data. It splits it into train and test. You just have to tell like what columns you need to use for like building your model. And it does everything in the backend. So like you technically have to write a lot less code already. This was pre-AI. Even with all those tools, the data scientists, the machine learning engineers had to actually understand and know what they're doing. They had to put the business context into it to figure out what columns should be part of like predicting something. And whenever the automated ML gave the results, they actually had to take the business context, compare that with the output what the machine learning model is outputting through that automated ML, and they had to like make decisions with that context in mind. So similarly, let's say I use AI today. Like I run an experiment, I get the data, and I give it to AI, and I say like, tell me, should I launch this experiment or should I not launch this experiment? AI will only give me the view that that data has. But somebody who has been working on the business for years has the context that AI will not have. For example, let's say we do an A/B test and we say like customers are actually clicking a lot more on this feature that we have just launched, let's say on search. But at the same time, we keep hearing that users are actually complaining about it. So technically they're clicking more, but they're also complaining. So if we just give that data to AI is going to tell us like that feature is really good because our CTR is high. But having that qualitative knowledge of like customer frustration, that lives outside. And a human being has to kind of like plug that in and make that decision with everything combined together. Anyway, so I'm going on a tangent. What I'm trying to say here is that like your domain knowledge, your critical thinking, your analytical thinking will remain whether you are using automated ML or whether you're using AI to do part of your work. So very similar to software engineer.
Yeah, for sure. So design requires context, and context comes from experience, which you would have as a human being, and AI would rely on that. Like you need to feed that in order to get whatever it is that you're expecting.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like we have to like rank it, which skill set AI will automate first. This would be the latter
last one. Yeah, for
one.
sure. Yeah.
Coding, yes, maybe, but this one is the most critical part. And that if you're like in school or you're currently working as a software engineer or data scientist, like you should definitely try to like enhance and improve these skill set because that's how you stay irreplaceable in the age of AI.
Yeah, slightly off topic, but even interviews are kind of changing in that way. Like when I graduated, it used to be purely like a lot of lead code, very, very base level of system design. Sometimes it would just be object-oriented design. But now companies are kind of shifting focus. Some of them even allow you to use AI tools in interviews.
Yes, Meta did recently.
Yeah, because that is what you're going to do in real life. So then why would they ask you to reverse a linked list if you can just ask ChatGPT to do that for you? Instead, they care about, are you able to understand the basic system design concepts and then prompt accordingly?
Yeah. I would say like data scientist interviews have also evolved.
Yeah.
They're a lot more like on problem solving where they will like give you a real world problem and ask you to apply stats and machine learning on top of it. So it's a lot more talking and problem solving live, which
is fair. That is what should be tested.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so glad. In a way, I'm like really happy that those lead code, medium, hard are like kind of going
away. Yeah.
But it will be slow. Eventually, we'll probably get to a point where it's no longer.
Yeah, because it has never been useful in real life anyway. We used to grind it just to get to the interview round. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess the last thing that we need to talk about is soft skills. That's like the most obvious thing that AI hasn't been able to replace. Like we're talking about your communication, or even like your day-to-day, because AI doesn't understand your customer. AI doesn't understand your deadlines. There's the human element that comes to it.
Yeah, I would say the same thing for data scientists and data analysts, data engineer. For a lot of these roles, like storytelling is key part because when you work with data, you have to like craft it into a story, into a narrative. Yes, I've used AI to like write. I've screenshotted my tables that I pulled together from the data and then I'll tell Gemini, like, can you write me a one pager?
Yeah.
And it does it. Like, it helps me get started instead of like staring at a blank screen, but it's not that great. Like having good communication skills, because even if Gemini is able to write that doc, I actually have to go and present
it. Exactly.
And I'm going to be like asked like very tough questions in that meeting. So first of all, I need to know what I'm talking about. Second of all, I need to be able to like think on my feet and be able to like answer that question or address that objection in a way that is like moving the needle forward for everybody. So yes, communication is still going to be very, very important because yes, AI can help you do bullet points, but you actually have to go speak about it. So the human part stays.
Yeah, because I feel like we understand, even if it comes to like designing from like UI UX design or just there's little things that bother you as a human being. Like, why is this certain software behaving in this certain way in these situations? And like AI isn't going to come up with those like user experiences. Like you're going to have to experience them and then understand them and then be able to make the right choices. So yeah, I think it's the most obvious skill set that AI cannot replace.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So we have covered coding, we covered design, we covered soft skills, but I definitely want to know like your opinion. Like would love to know what you think. Do you think AI will replace software engineers and data scientists or both? And both? So, I think there's a lot of like fear mongering ongoing.
Yeah.
But like people who are actually doing the work will tell you a different story.
Yeah.
But oftentimes people don't want to believe it. So whether you are working as a data scientist or you're working as a software engineer, let us know in comments what you think and if you agree with us or if you think differently. All right.
Yeah, I just think that our jobs will evolve and not be replaced. There's a lot of roles that evolve with time. Software engineering and data scientist roles will also be one of them. But yeah, let us know what you think.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching this video and we hope you're having a great day. And hopefully we'll see you in one of our next videos on our channels. All right.